Thank you, Greg and Richard. Okay, our next session here is From Linear to 360 Audio Strategy, Publieurope's journey to become a leader across the entire audio industry. Please welcome to the stage Maura Negri, VP Marketing and Business Development, Publieurope and Dr. Podcast Board Director.
Thank you, that was very gentle.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. In the next 15 minutes, I'm going to share what has been the Mediaset Group journey in the audio field. I'm just starting with a couple of slides about who we are. So Publieurope is the international sales house of Mediaset. So basically, we represent Mediaset Italy and Spain abroad, and also a range of partners for international media buyers. We have our headquarters in London, offices in Paris and Munich, Milan and Madrid. We are a multimedia, multi-country, and multi-partners company. Basically, if you look into our portfolio, you will see that we represent major broadcasters across Europe. We work over 8 markets and 14 partners. And you can see our broadcasters both very strong in TV and in the radio business. Here is our portfolio. As you can see, we represent all the media. In the radio industry, on top of the Italian supply, we also represent France and Talpa in Netherlands, with almost 30 radio stations and a digital audio offer. This is where we start our journey. So back almost 10 years ago, Mediaset started acquiring and investing in the linear business. All the brands you see circled in orange are owned operated. So company and radio station we acquired, but of course we keep representing with as a sales house, let's say, other radio station in the market. And with these investments, we are now a leading sales house in market. We reach more than 1.5 million listeners in the average quarter, so in 15 minutes time, with a very, very small overlap between the radio station we represent, is about 20%. Means we can reach the top audiences that advertisers are looking for. But we didn't stop here. What we did back in 2018, of course, we realized that audio is not just radio. So we started thinking from a sales house perspective what we can do to represent better the audio field. So we launched the Mediamond Audio Exchange, MAX, that basically is a digital audio offer. We started from our own operated business, so the digital part of our linear station, because of course we have websites, apps, TV channels, so we decline the linear offer in a digital offer as well, and we aggregate to that some partnership with AdSuite, that, as you know, is not only our tech provider but has a big network that represents internationally. TargetSpot and Voxnest, that you probably know for the Spreaker platform. So as you can see, we have a massive network. We have now almost 500 million impressions per month across all type of audio inventory. It's not just linear radio decline in audio, but it's also streaming services and podcast offer. Why we did that? We started offering the opportunity to apply data to an audio planning, and we did that in extension of the linear campaigns. And the type of data are the audience data, the content data, the context based on, the weather or where people are, and of course the type of content that we offer. After that, we decided to offer some more creative inside. So we launched a partnership with Emilio Naz for dynamic audio. So based on the type of data, in the moment of the day, in the weather, in the location, in the day of the week, etc., people are listening different audio spot, and this is very powerful. And we also leverage a trademark of AdSuite, so a shake me format means you can shake or tap your phone when you listen an ad, and it's really a call to action you can do, like downloading something, go to a shop, subscribe to an offer, and so on. So we bring performance to the audio field. Last pillar in the audio field, in the digital audio field, was to strengthen our podcast offer. On top of the network we launched in 2018, we signed another partnership with Mondadori, that is a publishing company we represent in Italy. And now also the podcast network is very strong. Here we offer clients different opportunities. They can simply run pre-roll, mid-roll within the podcast, but they can also invest with sponsored podcasts. So the classic way at the end of the podcast to say this podcast has been sponsored by. We are about to launch the host read, where this type of sponsorship is mentioned by the host of the podcast, so it's even more effective. And we offer also the opportunity to do some branded content, means the opportunity to place product placement within the podcast, or what you probably know better, the classic branded podcast where the full content is produced by the brand. What's next? So basically we invested in linear, we built a digital audio network, but we felt something was missing. As you can see, the podcast is exploding. These are the numbers in US, but in Europe are growing very fast. It's true, the reach is not massive as linear, but for sure the audio consumption is now driven also by podcast. But what impressed us was not just the number of listeners, but what company were doing around the podcast. Here is an example of Galaxy, where you see some companies and the investment they did just acquiring podcast companies. It's impressive because if we see, for example, Spotify, they invested in last 2 years more than $800 million acquiring podcast companies. And as you can see in the example, are different type of company in different fields, are tech company, are podcast network, are audio content distribution, and so on. And Spotify announced that by 2025, they expect $8 billion in digital audio advertising, and from that, 2.7 billion will come from podcast only. So it's really a massive investment. iHeartMedia did the same. They invested more than $300 million in podcast company. Last two steps were acquiring Spreaker, Voxnest, to get the podcast network, and also acquiring Triton as a technology pillar. Last but not least, if you watch company not focusing in audio, like Amazon, they started very soon acquiring Audible in the audiobooks, but they are also investing a lot. And I think it's impressive to say that they invest $80 million to acquire the podcast series. So we really felt was not enough. And back to the fact that audio is not just linear, is not just digital audio. You can see massive trend in any other pillars of audio. So smart speaker are growing impressively. We expect by 2024 more than 600 million devices worldwide. We expect 70% of the US car to be smart connected cars by 2025. We also know that sound branding is performing much better, like 3 times in terms of recall compared to normal brands and logo. And we also know that now audio is part of the people habits and represent more than 30% of their time. Last but not least, audio reached as well the social network. It's maybe true that Clubhouse was not a massive success, but from them, all the other social media implemented audio functionality to their platform. So we saw an opportunity to build and launch an audio factory. What means audio factory? A company 100% dedicated to audio, able to create, so produce content, distribute content, and really do some strategy, help client to do strategy about audio. A company that can be a center of innovation vertical in audio, really focusing on that. 360 audio, so not just podcast, but really everything we can do in the audio field. And last but not least, we felt an opportunity in entering in the B2B space, because it's true that the podcast has a market that is growing B2C. We think there is an opportunity for brands to use podcasts internally, for internal communication, for training, for the top CEO to speak internally. So at the beginning of the year, we invested as Publieurope, so we did it at the international level in an audio factory, and we renamed it Dr. Podcast Audio Factory. And basically, is the company that is doing what I mentioned before, so it's really a 360 degrees audio company. Why we did it as a separate company, and we not just add the product within the company, and why we did it internationally. First, because we think if we want to innovate and be fast, we need to focus on it vertically. We have many products to sell, many media to sell. It's quite impossible to focus vertically in a media that is going so fast as audio. We decided from the very beginning to give an international footprint, so we are now covering the Italian market. We are hiring in London. We plan to expand market by market going forward. We did independently for scalability. So of course, when you sell many products, it's very difficult to grow fast. And last but not least, because we decided to cover the B2B field, our references are also quite different compared to the classic media buyers. Last is what next. So basically, we are hiring in London, as I mentioned, so we are building the team because we have a quite challenging and ambitious goal in mind. We are also building an editorial strategy because it's true, we want to position mailing in B2B, but we think it's important to make us known with some good B2C content to make first brands feeling we are a trusted company, and second, because we want our own editorial strategy to distribute our content as well. We plan, as I mentioned, a market expansion, and then what we are working a lot is the educational piece. We think podcast is a powerful medium, but we need to set expectation and really explain brand how to use it in the smartest way. That's it for me. Thank you very much.